You ready?
Oh, I'm ready, brother.
Alright, let's go. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. What is going on, COD fans? I'm Ian COD, he's Jiggy Saw, and this is my COD Bookie, back again for Major 1 Qualifiers Week 2, where we will once again discuss all of the best bets for every single match coming up this weekend. James, you excited for round 2?
I'm stoked, bro. I hit that fat parlay last week. Ready to hit another. Ready to hit another.
Let's run it back. Let's run it back. All right. So before we get into things, I just want to say hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. It would mean a ton to us. Not
Oh,
only
yeah.
not only would you be doing us a favor, but you'll also be tuning in to all the latest in terms of CDL bets and any sort of parlays that we'll be running on all these matches. So
Prize picks, all
prize
that.
picks, everything. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and go over to our socials. We have Ian Cod, that's me on Twitter, and then Jiggy Saw on Twitter as well. Also, my Cod Bookie, again, we'll be posting all our video drops, more bets, plus prize picks on Twitter, which is Twitter exclusive. So follow our Twitter, and you'll be able to tune in to all those prize picks. So, last week, our results are in, and I went 4 and 5 overall in our YouTube picks. James 5 and 5, asterisk next to that 5 because of the optic forfeit to Rocker. We will talk about that.
Bro.
We will talk about that. But yeah, 4 and 5, 5 and 5. Decent start for the first week. Again, it is COD. Any given day, something crazy can happen. So for the first week, not knowing anything about the teams and not much about the game and how it'll play competitively with the pros, again, good start there. Prize picks 2 and 1 at my COD bookie, and then the $5 parlay I missed. I hit 3 of 4, missing the over on 4.5 with Rocker vs Ultra. But James came out, smacked the parlay, hit it at $137.80 payout. Great payout on that $5 parlay. He had LAT on the spread, the over for LAG Surge, Optic on the spread, Ultra win versus New York, and Breach on the spread as well. With the Ultra win, I'm pretty sure that's what sealed it up for you, right?
Yep. Yep. It was that ultra win. What was that last map of the weekend?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and it was just money line win, so coming up big there, Ultra to seal out that parlay. Again, $137.80. Parlays will be dropped at the end of the video, so make sure you turn in for the whole video so you can catch that parlay at the end and hit something similar maybe this week. James got another heater cooked up, so we'll see what happens
Excited.
there. So, the results from week 1, we got Boston Breach on top and New York Subliners on the bottom. Kind of, I guess, skewed, I think, because of the Optic forfeit. Again, you have Rocker in third and Optic in fourth. I think those places would be switched without that forfeit. But I think we'll likely see a shakeup this week. We got meta changes, so got to discuss this. I think it favors teams with good SMGs. Again, the meta change, the M4 has been GA'd. So pretty much the gun that everyone was running last week, GA'd off the table. Scar comes in, the TAC is what it's called. TAC comes in,
It's the damn scar.
and then we got the Vaznev sticking around for the SMG. Again, I think this favors teams with good SMGs. I don't think it's a fix to the game per se for the weapon balancing. I think more will need to be done. But I think definitely favors teams with good SMGs, and I think it hurts teams with a focal flex player. So again, I still think we'll see a lot of 3ARs, 1 sub, but expect possible jumps from Surge and FaZe. You see them sitting down at 8th for Atlanta FaZe, and then 11th for Seattle Surge. So expect jumps there. Those two teams have some of the most dominant sub duos in the game, so expect that to jump. And then again on the other end, I'm worried about teams like Legion. I know they're already in 10th right now, but I'm worried about them. I don't think they have strong subs. So that's something to look out for these bets going forward. You got any takes on the standings right now? Anything coming off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, the whole optic one, that's bullshit, first of all. Second of all, I mean, Toronto, sixth place, phase seventh. And I mean, LAT in eighth. It's just shocking me right now how things are turning out. I mean, I like seeing London up in that third place spot right now. I mean, technically first since everyone won six maps, lost two maps, but yeah, I mean, I think everything looks about right, but I think that that optic one, the forfeit really fucked them over a bit, but they'll bounce back. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
what a power move out of optic to just say, what, screw it and
Exactly.
forfeit the match.
Yeah, they stuck to it. So respect to them. I
I
also
love it.
understand Rocker's side, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So starting off with our first match, let's jump right in. We got Seattle Surge versus the London Royal Ravens. You can see the prices there on the spread, the win and the money line. So my big take on this is Surge is my team to watch going into week two with the meta change. I expect an increase in performance from Pred. He has a 1.02 KD overall, but I expect that to go up. Remember, he was rookie of the year last year, so I expect that performance to go up. And then Sib is coming off an unbelievable performance. I don't think I think his numbers will drop, but I don't think his performance will necessarily drop. I still think he'll be really good. I think the scar in his hands, I mean, it shoots even straighter than the M4. So um, I don't know. I mean, for one of the guys that has one of the best gunnies in the game, look out for that. And then also on the other end, Ravens, they're coming off an excellent start, with really their only weakness being hardpoint from their maps last week. Paul needs to match his S&D and control stats in hardpoint to be a more well-balanced team. Um, but when it comes down to betting this one, I like Surge in the hardpoints and Ravens in 2, 3, and 5. So if you get a good spread in any of the hard points, any of the single game bets, look for Surge and hard points and Ravens in the Neslos, as I like to call them. And as a lot of people on the flank refer to the Ravens and other teams as well. Those 2, 3, and 5 matches, again, look for the spreads there. But for this match in particular, I'm hitting the over. I'm smashing the over. I like the over at plus 140. What do you think, James?
Well, both teams last week went map 5 against LAG. London looks like the better Surge team in my opinion. They against LAG on a hotel Surge 6-1, Fortress Surge 6-1. Seattle ended up losing both of their searches to LAG. Seattle, however, though, looks like the better hardpoint team. So I think this game is going to come down to the control. If London can win the first hardpoint, I think they take a quick 2-0 lead. Then all they'll have to do is just win the control and they take a 3-0 sweep. But if they lose that control, I think you'll see Seattle take the next hardpoint on a big momentum shift, and you'll see a pretty close map 5 search. Um, if Seattle takes it, but I don't know. I don't know really who's gonna win this one, if I'm being honest. I think either way, this game is either Swift 3-0 on the side of London, or it goes a distance because both teams look pretty neck and neck. But that being said, I think I'm gonna take London on the money line because I just like how they're sitting right now in the rankings. I like how they looked last year. I think if they end up pulling off a 6-1 in a search and then potentially getting the 3-0 in a control, it really won't even fucking matter what they do in the other respawns because then they'll just have so much momentum in their searches that they could easily take a map 5 search. So I'm gonna take London on the money line on this one.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah, if Ravens can definitely pull a hard point, I think it will be a pretty quick one. Because their 2 and 3 is really strong. Their search and control is really, really good. Um, so yeah, moving on to the next, Florida Mutineers versus Minnesota Rocker. Again, all the prices down there at the bottom on spread, win, and total. James, go ahead and lead off on this one.
Last week, both Rocker and Florida played Optic. Rocker won on a technicality, so I'm only going to really refer to the first two maps. Um, Florida got their ass beat pretty handily, I'm not going to lie. Rocker lost the hardpoint 250 to 203 on Hydro, um, and then absolutely slammed Optic in the search 6-0 on Embassy. Florida, on the other hand, got slammed in the searches and the control, or in the search and control. Optic ended up 3-0ing them, and I think Minnesota is gonna take this one pretty easily, seeing as they gave Optic a good run for their money in the control that caused the forfeit. So I think for this one, I'm gonna take Rocker on the spread.
Got you. Yeah, I will be rolling with Rocker on the spread as well. Um, for this one, again, that Rocker controversy map, it skews their win-loss. So again, I kind of tossed that whole first game against Optic kind of out the window because you know, I think Optic definitely would have won that map three, but anyways, I just kind of disregard that whole map because I just don't want to look at it in general. Um, but Rockers still picked up a good 3-1 win versus Ultra, and they look like a well-balanced team, and I think they match up well against Florida. And Minnesota definitely is better across the board. So Afro, Havoc, I'm taking Afro. Bance, Brock, I'm taking Bance. Attach, Vickle, still not sure how to say it. Taking Attach, and then Cammy versus Major Maniac. That's the only one that you could say, you could take Major, but even in certain situations, I'm taking Cammy. So um, I expect Florida to take one map. I'm not sure where. Again, they played Optic kind of close in some hard points last week, so I'm not sure where they'll pick up a map. So I got no map picks here, but I do have Rocker on the spread at that minus 110. So I think that'll play out pretty well. So going into the next one, we have New York Subliners versus LAG. So Subliners had a terrible opening weekend. They only won one map out of the seven that they played. I expected a lot better out of Skies and Priesta. Skies had a .93 KD and Priesta had a .82. Um, and at times they didn't look at like they were on the same page at all. So I'm hoping that a shift in meta helps this team, and I think it will with Hydra and Kismet. Both of those guys are really good subs. Played well together last year, so I think both of them will step it up. And then on the other side, LAG, they had a decent weekend with a 1-1 match split with an upset win versus Surge and a map 5 loss to the Ravens. So they took it all the way, took it the distance, and then lost to the Ravens, who are a really good Surge team. Um, but when I was watching, eye test, they didn't impress me too much. Spart looked horrendous. Okay, like Spart looked the worst player in the CDL, and actually proved it by having a .75 KD, which is bottom of the league. So right now he is bottom of the barrel. I think that's going to be really bad going forward. Definitely something to keep your eye on. So I need to see more from him and more from that team. So I'm not really sure what to expect from this game. I think LAG is clearly a better S&D team. So look for plays on games 2 and 5, especially if a hotel search gets in, and New York is 0-2 on that. But for this match, I got no play. You got a play on this, James?
Yeah, I mean, like you kind of touched on it a little bit. LAG lost 3-2 to London, winning the Hydro hardpoint pretty easily. They took it 250 to 120, and map 4 hardpoint on Mercado 250 to 240. Little closer on that one. New York, on the other hand, got completely slapped. I
Oh,
said it last week that Paul and the London Royal Ravens had something to prove in that match, and I mean, shit, they proved that, and New York got slammed. With that being said, I'm gonna take the Gorillas on the spread because LAG beat Seattle 3-2 in a pretty close match. But man, New York came out last week with only one map win. I mean,
hmm
it's pretty demoralizing, and I think LAG is too disgusting not to find a way to capitalize on that and just keep finding a way to roll through New York this week.
Got you. So you got LAG on the spread?
Yep.
LAG on the spread. All right. Take us right into Ultra versus Phase.
I am gonna have to take the FaZe money line pick here because FaZe had a pretty tough week last week, losing 3-1 to Breach in a close ass series and barely squeaking out a win against the reigning champs LAT 3-2. On the other hand, Toronto had a fairly easier week, not to throw shade at Minnesota or New York, but New York on paper looks amazing, but they're not showing it in game quite yet. And I think this week Toronto is really going to be tested on their ability with not only FaZe but Seattle as well, who went 3-2 and 3-1 against two insanely talented teams. So
hmm
I'm gonna have to take FaZe on the money line for this one.
We're rocking the same thing. I got FaZe moneyline win here as well, at minus 170. I think this should be an excellent matchup and a great baseline
Absolutely.
test for how the meta plays. So that's my big thing here. So I got a couple questions going into this one that I'm going to be looking out for. How much will we see a lot of like 3 ARs? How often are we going to see that? What maps are we going to see that on? And then how will subs perform? I was listening to the flank last night, and Slasher was talking about how subs only had 26% of the kills. So, like when players were using a submachine gun, out of all the kills from last weekend, subs only had 26% of the kills. Last year, that number was a lot higher, even though, again, last year in Vanguard, it was still an AR dominant game, but that number was a lot higher, so I expect that number to go up. This weekend, not too much, but I do expect it to go up, so that's what I'm looking for. And then for both of these teams, to their standard, they're kind of coming off lackluster starts with rebounds to finish off in their last game. So I think the key matchup here will be a BZ versus Kleenex, and how those entry subs will fare in the new meta. I think Abe wins this, but again, I think it's going to be a really good game. I just think FaZe take it. I'm not sure if they take it 3-1 or 3-2, but again, I got FaZe on the money line win there. So going into another FaZe matchup, this is the first game, I believe, on Saturday. So they have the last one on Friday, first one on Saturday. Um, I just want to go ahead and highlight this is our first over/under 3.5 game of the season. So I thought it would take a little longer into the
Me
season to get
too.
here, but here we are. So they clearly do not like Legion here. Um, but again, with the meta change, I think that does favor teams like FaZe that are more sub-dominant against, a team like Legion. I think it'll hurt Legion a lot. That is more flex and AR dominant. I think the center point or the centerpiece of Legion is temp. So I think that hurts them a little bit. Um, I don't see Legion pulling an upset here. They lost to LA Thieves by 48 and 52 in Hardpoint, which should give a good gauge versus FaZe. But minus 40 or less on map 1 could be a good play for FaZe. Other than that, I don't really have any map by map bets. And I'm really tempted to take the under 3.5 here. I think it'll probably be a 3-0, but I don't want to ride off Legion in an S&D. I think they have really good S&D players, Prolute, Tej, even though I'm not a big fan of Tej. I think he's good at S&D, and then Clay and Temp. So I don't want to write them off on that. So I'm actually going to go FaZe spread here. I don't really like the price on it, but that's what I'm going to take. I'm going to take FaZe spread at minus 220. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it a little bit. Last week, Vegas got cooked. I mean, FaZe ended up taking a 3-2 win, and Vegas got smoked. I'm not gonna lie, I was just gonna take the money line pick on FaZe because it's the safest bet in my opinion.
Hmm.
But come on, Vegas, a 3-2 loss to Florida.
Yeah.
Nothing against Florida, but when FaZe and Florida meet, I can almost guarantee that the series does not go to a Mat 5.
To
Not
be
gonna say
fair,
which way.
not to cut you off, but to be fair, they threw that. I think they were up like 5-2
Yeah.
or 4-1, and they
Yeah.
threw it. Like Paris, Vegas should have won that. So.
Yeah, and that's my point is like it was just a pretty piss poor start to the season. But I'm just gonna say fuck it as well and just take the spread on FaZe. Like you said, I don't like how it looks, but I mean, what else are you gonna say here other than the spread on FaZe? I mean, it's a what minus 220
Hmm.
on it. What do you take a money line of minus 600 here?
No, I'm not gonna do that. So
So,
that's why I was tempted with the under 3.5, but again, I'm not gonna write them off not to get a search.
right.
But yeah. Also, by the way, for all of our viewers, even though we are kind of picking the same things, we don't talk to each other about our
This bitch
bets
won't talk
beforehand.
to me about his bets before the fucking video.
So
He literally will not tell me.
just so you all know, we do not discuss our bets beforehand. We write them all down, come up with all of our reasonings before, and then jump right into the video. So we're hearing our bets from each other for the first time. So just wanted to throw that out there. So going into the next match, Optic versus Ravens. I'll let you take this one.
Holy shit, this game is going to be fun to watch, in my opinion. Optic with a great first week, excluding how the Rocker series went. Looks hot coming into week two. What was it, a 3-0 for
Hmm.
Optic against
Yeah,
Florida?
against Florida. Yep.
3-0. London with probably the hottest start of their careers, 2-0 with a map count of 6 maps, maps won to only 2 losses. This London team looks disgusting this year, and Optic looks how every fan wants them to look, incredible. With that being said, I really don't know if I can make a bet on this match. I think it could go the distance, seeing as how disgusting London is in their searches and controls. But you got to remember, momentum plays a huge part in these games too. I don't really see London taking the first hard point, but I see them taking the search and probably the control, seeing as how they are 6-0 round count and fucking controls after last week.
Hmm.
Um, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna take the money line win on London. I'm gonna take the upset.
I like it.
After talking about it and after just thinking about it, I think London has the ability to go up 2-1 and carry that momentum into the last hard point. And if not win that, ain't no way they're losing that search. So let's fucking go, London. Fuck Optic. You guys are gonna be making me some very nice money this weekend. I'm excited.
I like the pick. It reminds me of my LAG pick for Surge from last weekend. So I can
Hmm.
definitely see where you're going with the 235. So my take on this one, again, Optic coming off that wild weekend with the forfeit to Rocker. Just to touch on that a little bit, I see both sides, and I think ultimately this falls on the CDL. I think they need to be able to interpret situations rather than have a black and white rule for situations that aren't black and white. Um, Again, I think, Rocker obviously didn't want to lose, like, not of their own accord.
Yeah, on
So
some bullshit. No
so
one
they
wants to.
submitted the video, and they're not the ones that make the decision, the CDL is. And when the CDL came up with their kind of like jurisdiction, like their rules on how they were going to handle the situation, they said, it was a major bug. They have classifications of minor and major bugs, and they said it was a major bug, which called for a full round replay. Again, I think that there needs to be interpretation there. They need to have somebody that understands the game and understands the probability of a win versus loss situation, because I think Optic had it pretty much all but wrapped up. Um, but that's as much as we'll touch on that. I just think really the CDL needs to get their stuff together when it comes to rulings like that and have something in place that's going to interpret the actual game a little bit better than just a black and white ruling.
Well, and
Um,
how about how Minnesota is taking this shit on Twitter?
exactly,
They're
and
they're acting a bit ridiculous at this point. They're still talking about it.
yeah,
Optics said they made their peace with it and they moved past it, and Minnesota is still just hammering away at this, trolling on Twitter, and it's
yeah,
it's getting a bit ridiculous at this point.
it is. It should have been handled differently in the first place. So hopefully that situation won't happen again. But getting into the match for this one, um, I think this is going to be a heater. I think this is respawns versus Neslos. So again, Neslos, explain the terminology. That's a 2-3-5 where you win the searches, and then in this case the control. Um, I think this is Optic's first real test, considering what happened with Rocker. They didn't really play the full match, so again, I kind of throw that one out the window. And I think we'll see a similar game to how the Rocker game would have turned out, where it comes down pretty much to who wins the control for me. Um, I think overall, if Optic wins the control, I think they can tidy it up in map 4 in the hard point. But if London wins the control, I think that sends it to a game 5, and I think that's when London comes in and they win. Um, in this matchup, look out for hardpoint Hydro. Ravens looked awful and almost got a 100-point
Mhm.
clubbed by LAG. Okay,
250, 120.
so look out for Hydro. Optic will slap Ravens on Hydro, so look out for that. If there's any good spread bets on that, or really just any prices in general that look good, I would definitely take that. Um, I think Optic come out on top in this one, but I'm not sure on the map count. So, and I don't like the prices here, so I'm not going to play this one. Um, I do like your pick though. I think it's a nice little upset pick.
Yeah, I
Um,
love me that plus 230 as well on that money line.
yeah. So, but I got no play on this one, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I'll have fun watching it. Going into the next match, it's New York versus Boston. Again, um, I think the meta change is a big factor here. I think New York benefit more than Breach. I think it hurts Breach a little bit because you got Hydra and Kiz getting kind of a little bit of a bump with the ability to now have an SMG be more viable. Again, I still think there'll be 3 ARs, but I think SMGs will be more viable, especially in close knit or in close quarters situations. And then Breach, their big hindrance is going to be on Big Wake. He was Demon Joe all weekend, other
Hmm.
than one map. I think he had one bad map. So I think taking an M4 out of his hands is going to be kind of the biggest hindrance for that team. I still think the Scar will be good for that team, but again, Demon Joe with an M4 is definitely different. Um, I think the Breach definitely still do have talented subs though, but I think Nero needs to get over the 1.0 hump for his KD. He's currently sitting at a 0.91 for this team really to retain their standing going into Major 1. And again, I think it's going to be an interesting match and one I'll enjoy watching a lot because I will have no stake in this one. I'm too unsure of how these teams will respond after last weekend and this week's adjustments with the meta change, so I got no play on this one again. What do you think,
That's so
James?
soft, Ian. That is soft. I think this will be an easy one for Boston. Boston's only dropped 2 maps, Ian, and they were both nail biters that could have gone either way. That came down to just a couple mistakes ending in a map loss for them.
Hmm.
New York, on the other hand, only won one map last weekend. They don't look that good in their searches. They got smoked in their controls. And the only thing that they look decent in is their hard points, which any team can win a hard point. Like it
I
you
disagree with that.
can't take well, I mean any search kid can be taught how to play hard point. It's very hard to teach hard point kids how to play search. And when you have a team
True.
that's as talented as Boston and they're winning all of these pivotal maps, I just don't see them losing to New York at all. I think that this is going to be an easy one for Boston. So with that being said, I'm just going to take Boston on the spread. I like it. I think their win last week, their 3-1 against what was it, LAT, um, or against was it FaZe, was
Yep.
huge. Yeah, in map one of this of the year. I think
Against
that was a
Surge.
huge win.
Against Surge. Right?
No. FaZe Breach. FaZe
Oh, okay,
Breach.
okay, okay.
Yeah, FaZe Breach. They took them what 3-1, right?
That was Surge
And
with the spread in Boston.
was it? Was it?
Hmm.
Hmm. Well, we'll figure that one out because I think it was Boston took 3-1 on the spread for on a win against FaZe at the beginning. But anyways, I still think that Boston is going to win this one, so I'm going to take them on the spread.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, again, I expect New York to be better. I don't know when they're going to
I do
get
too.
better,
Without the M4, I think they'll be a lot better of a team this week.
so we'll see what happens there. Going into the next one, Mutineers versus LA Thieves. What do you think, James?
You know, both these teams beat Vegas.
Yeah.
LAT LAT
Oh my
completely
God.
slapped them around in the response, but struggle a little bit in the searches. Florida, like I said last week, looked pretty damn good in their searches on paper and proved it. They were playing Vegas, but the reigning champs did end up losing to Vegas on Fortress Search, which was what a 6-2 loss. So I am interested to see how this match goes when talking about S&D. I will, however, be taking the LAT spread because I just don't see Florida pulling any respawns. They may win the search, but I really don't think they'll be able to beat LAT in respawn. They're just too fucking gross.
By the way, you are right. I was thinking of the Surge Gorillas match.
Gotcha,
So,
gotcha.
but yeah, you were correct on that one. Yeah, no, I mean, for this one, I think, another thing that stands out pretty clearly is the over under at 3.5 again. Thieves are obviously heavily favored in this one.
Hmm.
So we got two over under 3.5s to start off week two. I did not think I would see one, let alone two. So I think that's a major talking point there. Starting off with Florida, again, they look like another Nesla type team. Um, Lots of my S&D prize picks will be centered around Major Maniac. Um, so If they keep putting
Mike's
him
disgusting at S&Ds, man.
and they keep putting him at over under
I
6.5 in
know.
S&D, bro. So I'm going to take the over on Mike at 6.5 anytime they give that to me in S&D. I think the guy's too good. I mean, he's going to get 7+ kills every single map pretty much.
I've
So,
been saying it since he was on Rocker and Cold War, that
mhm.
wherever that guy goes, that's going to be a successful S&D team. He's just such a fucking big brain.
Yeah, he's definitely locked up when it comes to the over on 6.5 in S&D. So look out for those prize picks on Twitter. And then Vickle actually leads this team with a 1.28 KD in S&D and a 21.4% first blood rate. He's got to keep that up in order for this team to be successful. They need everyone to be performing, but especially someone new to the league. He needs to keep that up for that team to have any chance. And then I think going into these maps as a whole, Florida performs better as a team in close range S&D maps. So look for a Mercado or Hotel on map 2. And if we get that, you might want to take Florida because they could take one over LAT, especially on Mercado. They're good on Mercado. Um, but with that being said, they're going up against Thieves, who went 1-1 on the weekend with a Map 5 loss to FaZe, splitting hardpoints and S&Ds. So that was pretty much a toss-up there, a coin flip. Um, I think it'll be a 3-0 or 3-1 LAT depending on Map 2. Again, if we get a Mercado S&D Map 2, I think it could go 3-1. But here I'm taking LAT spread at minus 170. I think they'll get it done 3-0 or 3-1.
Absolutely.
Going into the Rocker versus Legion match. At first glance, all right, most people will probably be favoring Rocker here. However, I think this is a good matchup for Legion, like for like. Afro is really the only standout difference maker here for me. I think Vegas did play LA Thieves within one hill on both hardpoints and won both hardpoints versus Florida. I know that doesn't say much, but they did win two hardpoints, and they played Thieves within one hill. So I think, when you look at that and put that into perspective, I think that's pretty good. I think if they can pull a hardpoint on Rocker, then they have a chance. They really got to take that first one, but I think if they can pull a hardpoint, I think they have a good chance. TJ and Prolute need to step it up in all game modes. They've been atrocious, especially Control
Mhm.
for Vegas to pull a respawn. Eye test and gut test, and my gut says 3-0 or 3-1 Rocker, but don't be surprised if it goes to a map 5. I'm not saying it will. In fact, I'm actually taking the Rocker spread here, going with my gut. Taking the Rocker spread at minus 110, but don't be surprised if it goes map 5. I think Legion could kind of sneak in there and maybe pull a respawn. So look out for that.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, man, I'm gonna have to take the money line on Minnesota because I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that Vegas definitely could sneak in two here
Mhm.
and send this to the map 5. But I'm not gonna lie, Vegas looks pretty average in their respawns, which
Yeah, they do.
Rocker looks pretty well put together and disciplined in. And I also just don't see Vegas even really taking a search off of Minnesota. I mean, again, remember they ended up 6-0ing Optic on Embassy. They beat their ass, and Optic looked strong as hell against Minnesota.
Mhm.
Um, they did, however, beat LAT Vegas or on Fortress Search, but I still don't think that that's enough to beat this Minnesota roster. So yeah, I'm gonna have to take Minnesota on the money line for this one.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. Again, I think it could go all the way. I don't think it's likely, but I think it could. So I don't mind that pick at all. Going into the next match, Surge versus Ultra. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I mean for this match, I think Toronto looks like the better search team. Both teams look good in respawns, but I don't know if I can bet on this game. I think the M4 ban makes it to where I really just don't feel comfortable betting on either of these teams,
I feel
seeing
that.
as everyone on the map except Kleenex and Pred were using the damn gun. So
hmm
I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it, but yeah, I have no pick on this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another excellent meta test that'll hopefully show more flashy sub plays from players like Pred and Kleenex.
Hmm.
Um, I need to see improvements from Surge and S&D. They're 0-3 to start the year. Pred's first blood percentage is 13.8 as opposed to like Kleenex who has 23 or 26.3. First bloods win S&D. If you can get that early pick, the likelihood that you win that round skyrockets. So numbers will have to change for Surge to win in this series. Look for Surge to be comfortable in respawn though, with that increased performance in S&D. I think accuracy will get them together after that kind of like poor performance, very poor performance in S&D in weekend one. I got no map picks here. They're all pretty even, and their vetoes and picks are kind of all over the place. So I think it'll be a tight one. I think this one is going to be so close that it's going to go the distance. So I'm actually going to take the over here at plus
Like
150.
it.
I think it'll go to a map 5. Again, I have no clue who will win. I think Ultra is probably, the better S&D team, so I would, at least right now, so I would take Ultra. But I could see Surge winning it too. I think if they get on a small map like Mercado or something like that, and Pred is getting those first bloods, then I think Surge can win too. But I'm taking the over here. I got no picks on any maps or a winner, but I like the over. So, LA Thieves versus Optic. Match of the weekend for me. Both teams 1-1, and they're both going to be fighting like hell for a good seed come Major 1. Um, very similar KDs across the board for this team. They're all pretty much sitting at a 1.0, except for the King.
King.
The King.
Oh, look at the sweater.
Optic Scumpy. Brought back the two eyes this year. Sitting at a 1.3. This dude's supposed to be retiring. He's leading the CDL. He's leading the CDL in KD.
Never sleep on the king, man.
That's
He's the king
absurd,
for a
bro. Like, how,
reason.
how are you going to retire and be leading the CDL? Hopefully, he can keep it up all season. But right now, that dude looks gross. And honestly, putting a scar in his hand, too, if they play 3 ARs, I don't think that's bad. Like, I think he'll be gross with the scar, too. So, I don't know, man. Like, it's crazy to me that that dude is leading the CDL with a 1.3 and he's supposed to be retiring this year.
Shit, who knows? Maybe he goes to Halo and joins Formal.
For me, T2P, bring it
For
back.
me?
But I think all maps should go down to the wire regardless of the final map count. Fortress looks to be a weakness for both teams, so if it squeaks in, don't bet that. Stay away from that one. So haven't really seen it from both teams. I think LA Thieves played it once and didn't do well on it. So
Yeah, they lost 3-2 on the control
yeah,
against
so
FaZe.
so just that map in general just seems to be kind of weird for those teams. But I think this is another barn burner of a match, and I think again goes the distance. Not sure who takes it. Um, Again, Optic fan. I would love to see Optic take it, but I also like LA Thieves. I think they got a good team. I think they could definitely win as well. So I got the over here at plus 150 again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. The reasoning behind it though is, both teams look really good in their hard points. Neither team though really stands out for me as an incredible search team. Rocker ended up trouncing on Optic 6-0 on Embassy.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to the controls, they both look pretty even. I don't really want to bet on this match, but I think it'll probably go the distance. So with that being said, I'm just going to take the over on it. I think it could go either way, though. I like both of these teams, and like you said, I think it's going to be an absolute barn burner.
Yeah, not only are we both betting the over, but I think we can both. I think it's safe to say that we both hope it hits the over because
Yeah. Oh,
not
yeah.
not for the sake of the bet, but just for the sake of the match. I think that would be great
Yeah.
to see a round 5 or a yeah
Or
map
Map
5
5 round
round
11.
11. Yeah, I think that would be great to see, especially from these two very storied esports teams. So, um, last match of the weekend, Breach versus Gorillas. Start us off, James.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams beat Seattle last week. Boston looked pretty good in their respawns against Seattle, and LAG looked really good in the searches. Boston also whooped FaZe's ass 3-1, like I was saying earlier,
Yep.
who going into the tournament should be a top 5 team, and LAG was only able to take respawns off of London. I think I'm gonna have to take the money line pick on Boston here because I could see this being either a swift 3-0 if they take the control, or I could see it going the distance. So I'm just gonna take what I think is the safe bet and take Boston on the money line here. How about you?
I like that bet. Playing it safe. So even though I took LAG in the upset win over Surge last week, they again did not impress me. Just with the eye test, I'm hoping to see more in their match versus NYSL, even though that could give a bad impression with how NY has been playing. So that's my big thing. Like if New York comes out and just plays like shit again, then I'm not going to be able to gauge this Gorillas team at all. So I'm hoping I see more from that New York team in that match, just so I can get a better gauge for both of the teams. Um, LAG got stomped by Surge and Fortress and Hotel Hardpoint. So if Hotel gets through
100
map
point
one,
club.
yeah, 100 point clubbed. If Hotel gets through map one, I'd take the breach spread here, considering they beat Surge on this map week one. So Surge stomps 100 point clubs. LAG breach beats Surge on Hotel. Take Hotel spread for breach if you see that pop up. I expect a pretty straightforward match here with a 3-1 win for Breach. I think LAG will definitely take the search. Or not definitely, but I think they will take the search. Or could take the control. Um, and yeah, I think LAG does fare well in that control, but Breach will take the 1, 2, and 4. So I'm going to be rocking with the Breach spread here. Again, I just like the price on that a little bit better at plus 105. So I'm going to be rocking Breach spread with my last pick for the matches this week.
I like it. I like it.
All right, so that wraps up all of our picks for the week. Going into our week 2 $5 parlays again, shout out James, hit last week. I think it was again 137.80 for the payout on that. Here are both of our parlays. I'll walk you through mine and let James walk you through his. I got Breach versus Gorillas, spread Breach. I got the over on Thieves Optic. I also have the spread for Thieves versus Florida, spread for Rocker versus Legion, and then just the money line win Atlanta FaZe versus Toronto Ultra.
Yeah, for mine, I am taking the LAG money line win over New York. I got the Atlanta FaZe spread against Legion. I'm putting my upset into my parlay here on London taking the money line win over Optic. I got Boston on the spread against New York, and I also have LAT on the spread against Florida.
There we go. And again, these $5 parlays, they're low risk parlays with all bets pretty much entailing things that we think are probable, mixed in with a couple upsets or things that will increase our odds to where we get a really good payout. So again, these are really more so for fun, but again, like you saw last week, James hit on his. So hopefully we're hoping for another hit this weekend, but we'll see how those parlays shake out. So that wraps up our Week 2 Major 1 online qualifier video. Please hit like and subscribe. It would help us out so much. And again, you'll be able to get all the latest on video drops, more bets, and prize picks. At our socials, again, at Ian Cod and at Jiggy Saw on Twitter and Twitch. And thank you all for watching. This has been my COD Bookie, wrapping it up here. See you all next week.